This week I'm talking about Pinterest analytics, and this is one of those videos that has been on my mind and on my to-do list for quite a while, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So today we're chatting all about Pinterest analytics, finding them, where to look, what to track, all the goodness. So before we dive in, how about I introduce myself? If you're new here, hey, I'm Heather. I run a Pinterest marketing agency and education company helping e-commerce shop owners and content creators, whoa, that's a mouthful, to get more traffic and sales. If that's something that you're interested in learning as we go into the next year, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us because we publish videos here on this channel twice a week, at least for the time being. So welcome. If you're not new here, thank you for coming back for another week's video. I'm so happy that you're here and I have a good video for you today. So we are talking about Pinterest analytics. This is a topic that a lot of people just get hung up on when they're starting marketing on any platform. They get caught up on analytics, what to track, how to know if it's working, and what are those important metrics that you should be looking at month after month. Now, I know a lot of my students are tracking analytics, and I know a lot of you aren't, and that's okay. I'm going to show you what to do today. So let's just start off at the top with what to track. Now, if you purchased my Pinterest system, which I talk about analytics in that video, in that training, and I show you how to track them in the system, then you probably already have access to the spreadsheet that I use for all of our clients in my agency. Now, when it comes to tracking analytics, the things that I like to track for all of our clients are Pinterest impressions, because it's important to a lot of our clients that we track those. Even though you've heard me say it multiple times, it is a vanity metric. It's like Pinterest impressions are like the reach that you get on your Facebook posts on your page. So think of your Pinterest impressions as views, and a lot of our clients like to see that information, so we do track it. We also track sessions overall on their website. That way they can see at a glance, okay, these were my total sessions from everything, and these were my total sessions from Pinterest. So they like to see both, and I find it very helpful to see both as well. Now, you can even go a little bit deeper in tracking this information if you'd like, if you're using multiple marketing channels, and you can track the social platforms as well as just organic Google traffic. Really just depends on how well defined you want to get, and you can definitely tweak our Pinterest system to match whatever you're wanting to track. You just have to add some additional rows in and you're good to go. Okay, so the main things that we track when it comes to our client analytics every month in our Pinterest system is our Pinterest impressions, our total sessions from Pinterest, total sessions on site overall. We also track total page views. So even though we're tracking sessions are usually a lot lower than page views, and some of our clients like to see both or one or the other. So we just add them both on there so they can see that information. Now, if you want to get even more defined, you can also track whatever other networks that you are using in your marketing. So if you're using Instagram, for instance, and you wanted to track total sessions or page views on your site from Instagram, then you can just quickly add a row in our Pinterest system and put that information in there, and that information can be found in Google Analytics. So the very top of that list is Pinterest impressions and then sessions from Pinterest. So those are two things that we like to track for agency clients. Now, the next thing that we like to track for agency clients are the top pins that are sending the most traffic from Pinterest. Now, you can find this information by going to acquisition, social, network referrals. You click the Pinterest link in the list, and that's going to open up Pinterest traffic, and it lumps it all together because it's under the social tab. Then from there, you're going to want to click the little secondary dimension button just above the table and choose the acquisition filter again and click referral path. And from there, you'll actually be able to see all of your top referring Pinterest URLs on your site in whatever date range that you select. Because we're doing this on a monthly basis, we choose the last 30 days, and then we can see which pins sent the most traffic to our clients' sites in the last 30 days. So that's the next thing that we like to track. There are some other things that people like to track when it comes to Pinterest analytics. We don't track a lot of this, but we look at it from month to month just because it's a lot and clients don't typically like to see all of this data. They want to know what's working and not working. But for you, if you're wanting to track this information long term so you can see it over the course of a long period of time, then you may want to track these items. They are total close-ups. So close-ups will tell you if you're on the right track and you are your pin is interesting enough for someone to click on. They are closing up on it. Maybe they want to read the description. Maybe they want to see who pinned it, follow the person who pinned it, things like that. Close-ups generally tell you if you are on the right path to the content that you're creating. We don't typically track this information, like I said. Next thing that you can track are total saves. Total saves show the intent behind someone actually using or being interested in your content. If they've closed up on it and now they've saved it, they're showing intent to either come back to that later or they want that information like for sure later. They're coming back to buy it later or whatever. Saves are just a good indication that your content is good and people are interested in it, but it's not timely right now for them. So what do you need to do to actually get them to click through to take action? Close-ups can tell you they're interested. Saves tell you there is intent. So that can tell you what to work on as far as descriptions and maybe calls to action to get them to actually click through to your site. The next thing that you can track are top boards. This isn't something that we track in the spreadsheet for clients, but this is something that we look at on a month-to-month basis. It tells us what content we can continue to create. So top boards just tell us which boards were most popular on our profile. They had the most pin link clicks, they had the most saves, close-ups, all of that information. So it's like compiled together to give you your top board information. And I just like to look at that to see which boards were most popular. And I like to look at it on a month-to-month basis to see when trends are happening. This is something that you can cue into to see when trends are occurring. Okay, so now that you know what information to track in your Pinterest analytics from month to month, I want to give you some quick tips. That way you can cue in on trends as they happen in your analytics. So what I would do if I were you, as you're tracking this information in your spreadsheet or your Pinterest system, what you can do is make some notes from month to month of what you saw was really popular that month, and then what pins, because you're tracking your top pin URLs, what pins and pin styles and calls to action did you use and what keywords did you use, and over the course of them sending you the most traffic, you're notating this information and you can continue to replicate those things that were working really well again and again in your Pinterest strategy. Same goes for the top board that I just mentioned a moment ago. If you're notating what top boards were popular and when, as you look back on that information in 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, you can use that information to guide your Pinterest strategy long term. This will give you insight into Pinterest trends. You can use the Pinterest Trends tool. I've talked about using Pinterest Trends in the past, but actually finding the trends within your own data is another really important thing that you should do. When you're looking for Pinterest trends in your own data, look for pins that pop up during a certain time of year. For food bloggers, right now in the end of this year, so I'm filming this in December 2020, their content is going to be heavy in Christmas meals, Christmas dinners, probably even New Year's like parties at home and things like that. So cue in on the content that's really popular on your site during each month of the year. And as you track this, you're gonna start noticing those trends, and that'll tell you when you need to create new pins or new content for that time period. Something else that I like to take a look at inside of my Pinterest Analytics is when you're looking at the Pinterest Analytics screen, if you scroll down to where the list of pins are down at the bottom, you can actually see, if you hover over the Pinterest image, when that pin was created, and you can see, okay, this pin was created 6 months ago, but it's driving the majority of my traffic. Then you can kind of cue in on that Pinterest image and find out what made it work so well, and again, replicate it. Something else that I like to take a look at that a lot of people tend to neglect is audience insights. You can use audience insights even if you're just doing organic traffic, and the number one reason I like to look at audience insights is for the demographics piece. I scroll down past all of the interest categories because I know I'm already looking at that information, right? We're creating content based on our interests as it relates to our blog, but the demographics piece down at the bottom can give you additional information. Now, for me particularly, on my YouTube channel, I have a lot of people that watch me from over in Europe and Asia. So I can use that information. If it was Pinterest, then I could use that information to create content for those people. I could probably create, I don't have anyone that I know in India, but if I did, I could probably talk to them and see what their dashboard looks like for Pinterest, because it probably varies some depending on what things they have available to them. But something else that you can use this information for is for their specific holidays. Like the UK, for example. The UK has holidays that we don't have here in the United States. And if you have a heavy influence of people from the UK viewing your content on Pinterest, then you could create content specifically for them around their holidays. Let's use the food blogging example again. If you're a food blogger and you are creating content around holiday, like cooking, and you have a heavy presence of people viewing your content from the UK, then you could create food blog posts all around specific UK holidays. So that's one additional little tip that I like to take a look at, probably quarterly. I don't look at that a whole ton, but it does give you some insight into who your audience is and where they are, and then you can take that information and use it in your content creation plan. That's really it for this week's video. It's a lot of information to kind of digest and take a look at. So if you're wondering about any of these things, if you're curious about what they look like or how to find them, and you'd like a specific tutorial on that, leave me a comment below and I will do another video where I do a screen share and I actually compile analytics. If that's something you want, make sure you leave me a comment down below. That way I know that you want it. And aside from that, head on over and watch our Pinterest marketing strategy playlist so you can get started and dive deep into using Pinterest marketing for your website next year or right now. Okay? Don't wait. Do it now. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next time.